everybody, welcome to the Black Sheep Props channel. I'm Steve and I'm here to teach you the tips, tools, techniques, and materials for building your very own super cool EVA foam props. Now in our last episode, making an EVA Foam Laser Pistol Part 1, you saw how much we got done on this monster. But there's a lot more to go still. So we're just going to keep trudging through it. We're waist deep right now. We're going to get this whole thing built. And we're going to seal it and paint it. So right here, right now, in this episode, making an EVA Foam Laser Pistol Part 2, we're going to wrap the whole thing up. Tons more work, and the sealing and the painting. And the painting's pretty easy, and it's fun. So that's it, man. Enough of me yapping. If you're ready to hit it, let's make something. Alright, now we drew some little crosshairs here. We're going to come in with our little bit. We're going to make a little rivet mark. Now here's an 18mm foam dowel we're going to use for the front end of our laser pistol. We've got 3 marks made on here. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to Dremel from this line right to that line right there. So we're going to make this a nice tapered end. Alright, so we're going to come in. Let's use our 220 just to clean it up just a little bit. Right there and right there. All right. All right, there we go. We got the Now we're going to seal it. And not only are we going to seal it, but we're going to open up these creases. That is sweet. All right, look at that. That is cool. Okay, now what we're going to do is this little edge right here, we're going to use our Dremel and we're going to Dremel a flat spot. All right, right here and here is where we want to do a flat spot on the bottom of that piece now. Line up our flat areas right there and right there. Really cool. Okay, now here we are with probably an 8mm foam dowel. Just like that. Now we're going to begin driving it around here. All right. Stick it right there on the side, and we're All right, now a thin little piece of 2mm foam. We're going to go around our piece and go to approximately there. There we go. All right, now we're going to come in with our hole punch and an extra 2mm piece of foam. All right, now this is going to make up the little open door on the side of our prop. We've got simple little pieces here, some 3, 8, 6mm, and a 6mm dowel. All right, so we can go ahead and we can knock all these out. All right, now here's our 6mm piece. Now we've got the back and front marked on there, and the reason we're doing that is because we have an angle that has to be cut on both. We have a bevel in this direction, like that. Now this. All right, we had a bevel cut this way. Now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to come right in from this edge and make a little bevel cut that way. All right, see that? Now we've got a bevel cut here and here. This is this angle at the back matches up. We're flush right here and right here. Look at that. That's a cool little thing right there. All right, there we go. There's our marks. Now what we did is we came in and we put a little piece of foam right there. Right? Now we're using that as our guide, right? We just measured it. It fits in there perfectly. Now we're going to trace that 2 more times, and we're going to use that for the 3 spines. All right, the original pieces that we cut, we should have waited until after we built our piece. All right, so don't use those. We can't. That's it. We just need a little front piece like that. We actually didn't need those 2 rivets. All right, now we're going to put a little bit of super glue on our 3 little spines right there. Now in the middle, we're going to make sure our spines look straight. There you go. And then we're going to hold this down while it bonds. That's pretty neat. All right, here's a little 6mm foam dowel. Just like that. Stick right through the middle. And we're going to split the dowel that way. And then we're going to come back to this side. There we go. All right, now we'll take one of these halves and we'll lay it right on here, and it's going to look like a little bit of a hinge right there. All right. There we go. Looks like a hinge. All right, now we're going to do the matching pieces that go on the side. They kind of look like little rocket engines. I know that's not what they are, but that's what they look like. And here we go. We're going to have an 18mm dowel. We're going to have some thick 36mm stuff, and we're going to have some 4. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to do this piece first. All right, this is going to be our 2 main body pieces. So here's our markings. We're going to cut these off on the bandsaw just so that we've got perfectly perpendicular 90-degree cuts. All right, now we're going to take our 4mm pieces. Now what we did was we originally drew them out to be this length, but after doing a test wrap, this is our new measurement, these 2 inside lines. All right. Okay, now on these end cuts, we're going to cut bevel cuts because there we go. Oh shoot, we actually did this wrong. That's the length that these need to be. So, all right, there we go. Now this will come in here and this will come in here. All right, there we are. Now we're going to give them both a quick trim on the end so we've got a nice flush end. Trim off some of our little frays. Okay, now we're going to take these 36mm circles and we're going to cut them out on the scroll saw. Alright, there you go. We've got our two back pieces and our two front pieces. Now we're going to be coming in and we're going to be doing some shaping here. So we're going to be dremeling from this bottom line to this side line all the way around so it's a taper. And the same thing on this side, from this center line to this side line for a really sharp cone. And a little bevel on the backs. Alright, we're going to use our super rough bit because there's a lot of material we got to tear off here. So we'll get started with the rough bit, then we'll come in and we'll clean it with the smooth bit. Let's just hit these real fast with the 220 sanding stick just to smooth it out a little more. Oh wow, that's nice. Alright, now we're going to seal them all. There we go, nice and smooth, foam tightens up. Alright, now we're going to take this little device and it's going to attach right to the side of our piece like this, but it has to sit right on this edge right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come around to these two spots right here, and we're going to dig out a trench. So that trench will be rounded and that'll match right up perfectly with this round edge of our laser pistol. So we're going to come in. Now we don't want to screw up now. If we screw up after all this work, I'm going to scream and yell. But alright, there we go. Right there and right there. Let's bring it in. This little curve is just enough to where we can attach it to there perfectly. Alright. Holy cow, that sits right on that round edge perfectly because they're just above your hand when you're holding. All right, we're going to cut these little pieces out to go on the back. Some of these. All right, there's our 4mm pieces. Now we're going to go over to the bandsaw and we're going to cut these out, the 12mm and the 10mm. Alright, there we go. Now, tip our knife on an angle. We're going to go right through. There we go. We're going to get some super glue on here. This would be way too hard to do with contact cement because it's such a tight area. There we go. Alright, there it is. There we go, look at that, nice. All right, now we're gonna bevel the edge of this 10mm piece. All right, there we go. We put a couple marks right here so that we know where these little 4mm pieces are gonna go. All right, there we go. We've got two on each side. Super glue puddle. There we go. Slid it around a little bit. Got a couple seconds before it grabs. All right, now here's our pieces that are going to go on the front end. All of these. All right, there we go. Perfect. When we go to stick it down, sometimes it can bend a little bit, and we want these to all look totally straight. All right, so we're going to do a little trick that you've seen us do before. Now we're going to come in with some super glue. We're going to put some super glue down, and we're going to paint it. We're just going to paint the surface with our super glue. We're going to smooth it out on there just like that. All right, there we go. And we're going to let it dry, and then when it dries, the super glue makes the piece of foam stiff. That almost puts like a hard shell on that one side. So we're going to do that to all these so that after it dries, the pieces will be really stiff. So when we stick it down, they're all going to be perfectly straight without any bend in them. Right, now we've got this little circle we cut out. We're going to come in with our sharpened brass tube. There we go. A little super glue puddle right there. All right. Then we're going to bring it in here, and we're going to stick it right down in the center where our mark is. There we go. All right, now after those dry, we'll put them all in place. All right, there we go. We've got them all in except these two corner ones. Now these two corner ones, we're going to have to cut an angled cut on the end of the piece, because when the piece comes down and hits this wall, it has to be cut on an angle so it fits. All right, we're going to do a real steep angled cut. Like that. All right, there we go. We've got them all in place. Now these two right here and here needed an angle cut on the end so it would fit in there. That's pretty darn good. Look at that. Really cool. All right. Man, that is crazy. All right. With that last detail, our little fins up here in the front end, that brings the build portion of our Fallout laser pistol to a close. All right, here we are at the spray stand. We're going to begin coating our laser pistol with our Plastidip. And you know what we always say, do not spray, even outside in a well-ventilated area, without your respirator. All right, there we go. Got the whole thing coated with Plastidip. Now we'll just leave this alone. We'll hang it up, we'll let it dry, and then after it dries, we'll paint it. All right, here we go. We're going to begin spraying our laser pistol with our flat antique nickel. All right, there we go. Now we held on to the handle the whole time we sprayed it because the body and the handle are going to be a different color. So it was okay that we did that. So we got all of our flat antique nickel all over the whole thing, looking good. And we're going to let that dry. Then after that dries, we're going to hit it with a coat of our matte varnish just to tone it down one step further. All right, now we hit this with some of our matte finish spray right here. That just tones down the silver just a little bit. All right, looking good. Now we didn't get total coverage everywhere. There's some kind of like slightly see-through areas, but that's okay because we're going to be really mudding this thing up when we weather it, so we're in good shape. All right, we're going to come in now. We're going to come in with our Hunter Green, all right up along the edge, and we're just going to cut in all the way around all the silver pieces with our green. All right, we're gonna let the green dry and then we're gonna go in there with another coat. But while we're waiting for that first coat to dry, we're gonna come in with our black. All right, there we go. We've got our black handle done all the way around. Now here's our medium yellow. Yeah, we'll definitely need a few coats here. All right, there we go. One coat of our yellow. It's not completely solid, so we'll let it dry. And then we'll get another coat on there, maybe 2 coats, depending. So we're just gonna go back and forth with the yellow and the green until both are solid. The green. All right, there we go. Multiple coats of the yellow and a couple more coats of the green. We are pretty much done now with the color. All right, now we're gonna do a couple yellow stripes right in here. So we're gonna mask it off. So we're just All right, what we're gonna do is this. I was gonna come in and do it with a brush, but let's do this instead. Let's use our sponge brush, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna not completely cover it. We want it to look like the stencil has kind of worn off in some spots, all right? So we're gonna start tapping. All right, peel that off. And then what we'll do is we'll come in with this really tiny little brush right here. But we're not coating the brush, we're kind of leaving it partially dry so that the brush strokes that we add on the end are a little bit broken up, just like our sponge brush parts were, right? Get a little bit on the brush, but make sure it's kind of dry. And then, see that? How it has that broken up look to it? All right, tiny little speck of yellow right there, but we'll get rid of that with our green. All right, looking good. Look at that. I love the way some of it's kind of broken up right there, so it looks kind of like the stencil's a little bit worn off. Okay, now we're gonna come in with the triangle-shaped piece of our template, all right? And we're gonna hold it in here, and we're gonna use that as a stencil. Now, we don't need to do tape for this stencil, because this one doesn't have to be perfect. All right, the first one, the yellow one, is just going to be kind of simple, so we can get away with just using the paper. All right, so we're going to come in here, we're going to hold our paper down, we're going to tap, all right, there we go, just like that. All right, there we go, there's 2 of them. That's going to be where our high voltage warning is going. And we're going to look. All right, now while that dries, we're going to come in with our apple red. Now we're going to be coming in here and we're going to be getting this little knob red. There we go. Now we're just going to cut in around the edges. All right, there we go. 1 coat. We're going to let that dry. And then when that's dry, we'll come in and hit a second coat on there. Okay, we transferred our little lightning bolts over to our tape. Now we're there we go. Okay. All right, there's our black. Just like that. Boom. Look. All right, here we go. Now we're going to come in and we're going to cut just inside of our little Sharpie mark we drew. Okay, now what we're going to do, just inside of our yellow area. All right, there we go. There's the inner piece. Now we're going to cut the outer piece as well. All right, there we go. Now we're going to come in. There we go, there's the outside. Now let's find the inner piece here. It's tough to see. Oop, there it is. Perfect. All right, we're gonna come in and we're gonna add just a little bit of length to that arrowhead at the top. There we go. That was it. All right, we're all done painting. Now we're going to come in and we're going to do a mud wash. We're going to dirty this whole thing up. All right, you've seen us do this before. We come in with our brown and our black. All right, there's our brown. There's our black. A little bit of water in there. All right, now we're using the water to mix it up. All right, now we can let the water drain to the other side. All right, so our wash is kind of on the not as wet side. All right, now we're going to come in. All right, look at that. That's perfect. Instantly awesome. All right, now we're just going to keep going. We're just going to do that all over the whole thing. That is really looking good. Look at that. Just a simple layer of crud. Leave it on pretty heavy in some spots. That is so nice. All right, and then you just pick your spots, let it sit for a little bit, even blow it off, just so it starts to kind of dry a little bit. And then you just lightly tap. Sometimes you tap harder. So we're just going to keep going step by step, letting it dry, and then adding another layer of crud. And after several layers of it, we'll probably be where we want to be. All right, there we go. Man, we have got several layers of crud all the way around the whole thing. The sides, the top, back in these back ends, up in the front end, nicely cruddy. Wow, man, that is really cool. And we could keep going, man. We could dirty the heck out of this thing, because the pictures I've been looking at, this thing looks like it's been in a wasteland for a long, long time. Super grody, but that's not bad. Like I said, we could go a lot heavier, but we're gonna stop right here. That's not too terrible. Beautiful. All right, with that last detail, the mud wash, which you can do as heavy or as light as you want, that brings our Fallout laser pistol build to a close. Whoa, nice. You saw how cool that was. And it was easy. And you saw the paint job. Man, after we finished the whole build, which is a great step, and then you seal it with Plastidip and it becomes real, man, then we jumped in and it completely goes to a whole new level when you paint it. You saw how easy it was. We sprayed the whole thing with our flat antique nickel, then we knocked it down a little bit with some matte varnish, and then we just came in and we started brushing. We brushed the green, we brushed the yellow tube, and did several coats of both. Then you saw us come in with a little bit of super simple kind of masking work to do the stripes, and we left them kind of like semi-broken up so they don't look like they've kind of worn off a little bit. And then some template action here for the high voltage symbols, which was really easy and it looks great, but then, man, it still just looked kind of fake. But then when you come in and pow, we muddied this thing up with the mud wash, that's when it gets totally legit. Look at that thing. That is grimy and dirty and perfect. And you saw how easy that was. The mud wash is easy, and then you just take your time and you keep going back over it, darkening up some spots to get it just as sooty and grody as you want. Look at that thing. Love it. This thing is so cool. That's it. That concludes making an EVA Foam Laser Pistol Part 2. Hope you liked it. If you did, give us a like, share us with a friend, and subscribe to this channel. And together we're going to go step by step through a lot more super cool builds so that you get the props you deserve. Thanks for coming. See you next time.